As 2023 slowly transitioned from winter to spring, I was busy planning another canoe trip with my wife of 26 years, Hanukkah. Our first canoe trip together in 2021 on the Churchill River proved that we make a pretty good team, and I was excited to show her my favorite canoeing destination in Woodland Caribou Provincial Park in northwestern Ontario. After struggling with wildfire damage to the Roid Creek area in 2019 with Casey, I was interested to see that not only was that route maintained by park staff in 2019, mere days after we bashed our way through, but again in 2022 after the 2021 conflagrations. What remained to be seen was how clear the trails remained after a winter season, but the original outlay was encouraging enough for me to give the route from Hatchet Lake through Indian House and down Roid Creek to Donald Lake another try. The part I liked about this route was that we could end our trip with another cleared passage from Glen to Onnie Lake, taking advantage of two lengthy, hopefully somewhat passable routes. As usual, our trip started with an 1,800-kilometer drive from Calgary, Alberta to Red Lake, Ontario, over 1.5 days of driving. We had everything from high winds and highs in the 30s to driving rain and single-digit temperatures. Being the end of May, we knew we were flirting with some potentially interesting weather patterns.
Falcon Lake for supper. 32 degrees, good start.
Finally, as we drove into Western Ontario, the day grew hot and felt more like August than May.
Antique store?
Some kind of store.
Check that over the way then.
105 north. 80k an hour for 173 kilometers. Oh boy. Finally, we turned up Highway 105 and drove for several hours in growing darkness through vast hordes of bugs as the sun set over the boreal landscape around us.
Red Lake. 10:30 at night. Hard to believe we're here again. Ready for another adventure. Well, there you go. Bear in the parking lot. Rock and roll time. About 7 in the morning. Everybody's feeling a little nervous, but we're good. Red Lake, nice hotel, good sleep. See, now they have the sign on there for Woodland Caribou. So Johnson Lake is only 27k.
Our first day started perfect, warm under a bluebird sky with light winds. The Suffolk Lake Road was in great condition, and soon we were pulling up to the Johnson Lake access point.
Have you ever had that? There's someone else? Or not?
Not usually.
There's another couple of them.
Woodland Caribou, 2023. Here we go.
We went easy on the first few days of our trip to protect my back and figure out how much abuse it could take after an early season golf injury. Our first day we paddled Johnson Lake from near the road before navigating the 600-meter portage into Stan. After another 170-meter portage, we exited a low Douglas Creek into Douglas Lake. A steep, rocky 150-meter portage into Hatchet Lake completed our carries for the day. We paddled north to a delightful unburned site for the evening.
First of dozens of carries. Johnson Lake. Muddy as always. Probably not green yet though, which is nice. Well, they don't start much better than this. Wind at our backs. Birds chirping. Warm at 8:30 in the morning. Johnson Lake. Portage between Johnson and Stan. 525. Nice forest walk. Pretty clear. Always a great way to start. Get you into the feel of your gear. Now we're triple carrying because of my busted back. So this is 2.5k of walking in sandals. That's a good start. First cast and a fish, but it doesn't feel very big. We'll see what it is. Oop. 150 from I believe, stand into probably a Douglas Creek, is what I'm thinking. This is where we start our
So we're gonna come
14-day loop.
Yeah, this is, oh yeah, this is, so we have to come back through there.
Yep, and you will come from the left here.
Wow. Alrighty.
That's insane. I've never heard them like that before. Douglas Lake.
Steep portage out of Douglas Lake to Hatchet. Hatchet Lake. Beautiful lake. Still green here. On to our campsite. Campsite on Hatchet. Didn't go very far today as a test for my back, so didn't want to push it. And don't regret not pushing it. It's a beautiful day, warm. Yeah, it's a nice site. It's not like what I would consider an A prime site.
Pretty friend.
It's not bad. Yeah, it's not bad. The tent site's nice and protected. It's not flat. We're laying with our heads uphill a bit. But that's okay. It's not the end of the world. First fish at it today for fun. Oh, he's not that small though. We can call that a pike. For sure. I remember the days when we used to bring to a boil and boil for 10 minutes. Newest research says you no longer have to boil for 10 minutes. You bring it to a boil, you're good. This early in the season, you're especially good. Absolute stillness on Hatchet. The wind died right down. And we ate supper. And it was good. That is a big and aggressive pike. Look at that thing. That might be the biggest one yet. Woo. Blowing up Hatchet towards our Peterson portage. Casting for some big pike along the shore. Nothing yet today. Beautiful morning. South wind.
Our second day was also pretty short. We left our site in Hatchet Lake and navigated the burn 260 meters into Peterson Lake. After a nice paddle up Peterson, we portaged 200 meters into Page. The 450-meter portage out of Page towards Bell Lake was followed by a lengthy paddle into the wind, followed by a final 200-meter carry into Crystal Lake. We crossed Crystal in high winds to the only site between Hatchet and Indian House Lakes not completely destroyed in the 2021 wildfires.
You know what? Sometimes the little ones fight more, especially at first. I don't know why that is. Nice, babe. Let's see him. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. No, that's a nice size. That's actually quick. Yeah, if you don't like today.
I'm not gonna like any day.
Nice big new blaze. That's actually a good sign though. Well, it's not awful. It's... Oh yeah, someone definitely cut through here, eh? Thank goodness. Can you imagine? Look at this mess.
Earth coming through.
Oh. Yeah, never underestimate what a burn can do. So this is Peterson, and I know there's a sign on here about some kind of
Hazardous
hazardous something. So hopefully this is pollen.
chemicals. I don't-
Otherwise, it's nuclear waste.
Better look at the trees. How can you do
Because those are still alive.
that?
If it's nuclear waste, we'll know in a few days when appendages start shriveling. Portage between Peterson and Page. Cleaned up a little bit here with the saw. Some trees that come down over the winter. I don't think too many people have been through here, if anybody, this year yet. This one's quite a bit less bushy, so less problematic than the one between Hatchet and Peterson. Nice warm morning here. What is it on 10:30? 10:30, finishing up our second portage through burn. Technically unmaintained, but someone has been through here last year. I don't think anyone's been through yet this year, but we're clearing a little bit where we can, but not overdoing it. Beautiful, warm, sunny morning. Stiff wind from the south. It's a good day. Yeah, creeks are a bit of a free-for-all. You kind of just do what you think makes sense. Nice. Easy. Look at this. Could be walking all this. Creek between Bell and Page. Fried, but the shorter version in the map shows actually still goes. The creek was very low for us. I mean, you can see there's not a ton of creek, but the way is pretty obvious. Burn is open. Put up a couple fresh ribbons. Not a problem. 120 meters maybe. 130. But it is hot, hot, hot. Whew! Not a lot of shade in a burn. Plus everything's black, so it just reflects all the heat. Hunting the butterflies. Very shallow channel out of Bell Lake. This is where we find out we have to empty the whole damn thing again.
Oh, I know. I was just thinking that. I'm like,
angling into them?
Yeah, I do.
And then you don't get splashed?
Yeah.
Well, except that time.
Minimally.
But yeah, that's what you want to do. Portage between Crystal and Bell. Actually in very good shape. Easy to follow. Crystal Lake Camp. Pretty nice. I think we got the 40 trees that weren't burnt. I was here in 2018. It was a lovely protected site. Green, of course. Not anymore. Cleared out a spot for our tent. So that'll work. Not a lot of protection, obviously, but somewhat protected from the south winds. It will be fine. Yeah, somehow a group of about 40 trees survived all the mayhem. Thankfully, because it's a hot day and we are getting to enjoy some shade.
Flowers on that side.
Some flowers? Oh yeah. Nice warm morning on Crystal, headed for the portage towards Indian House. Gorgeous morning, warm at about 8:15. Cold night for me for about a couple hours, but I managed to stick on a bunch of layers and I was fine. But we're going to put the warm sleeping bag in the tent tonight just in case that happens again. Pressure's been dropping, but again, like I said, now we have blue skies and warm. So we'll see what today brings. We don't have a very long day going to Indian House. My back really acted up on me this morning and last night, but a couple of Robaxacet or whatever that stuff is worked miracles this morning. So yeah.
Despite several back spasms overnight, we decided to keep traveling on our planned route. Day 3 was tougher than the first two as we worked our way slowly towards Indian House Lake. The 178-meter portage out of Crystal Lake was followed by 2 much longer ones and some scenic creek travel in between. It was another scorcher of a day as we approached the sandy beach and our third campsite of the trip at the start of the 967-meter portage to North Prairie Lake.
Yeah, this feels familiar. Bit of boggy roonies out of Crystal Lake towards Indian House. Balancing on these rocks and trying to videotape. That's not really working so great, but you can go knee deep in this stuff as soon as you step off the log. It's just brutal. As you can see right there. After the 200-meter portage, that's not 100. This is what you got to somehow go up. So we'll see how water levels are. A mighty creek towards Indian House. This is vacation, babe. I'm not sure I do remember this, no. There, that's your maintenance job of the day. Those are handy. Well, the 350 between Crystal and Indian House keeps measuring at 590 or 600 meters. So either it's been rerouted because of the fire or someone just got the distances a little wrong. Used a few more ribbons than I prefer to put up, but unfortunately in a burn, blazes don't work and rock cairns don't work if there's no rocks. So you don't really have a choice. Or things get really frustrating really fast. Well, hopefully it's a little bit nicer for the next group. Little lake between the 350, i.e. 600, and what we're hoping is an actual 375 from Crystal to Indian House.
Oh, it'll be a first.
Yeah, so far the portages have been exactly double or more of what they are on the map. So, oh well.
We're walking right underneath us here.
Oh, how big?
Pretty big.
375 between Crystal and Indian House. An absolute pleasure compared to the last one. And it felt like it actually was 375 meters. We'll see. Paddling towards the inlet creek to the lake. We'll see what that has in store for us. Okay, go. Ready? Mm-hmm. Go. We're good. Nice. I do like how green that looks.
Yeah.
Burnt on that side, not burnt on that side. Indian House Lake. Entrance to it. North Prairie at the end of 900 meter portage in the evening. Oh, that was a nicely maintained portage compared to the ship we've been on. So yeah, we'll start the walk back and tomorrow morning we'll finish. Beautifully maintained 975 out of Indian House towards North Prairie. What a change from basically Douglas to Indian House is okay. It's passable, but it ain't no highway like this. So yeah, feels really good actually. We decided to do one of our 3 carries the night before, because why not? So now the canoe is at the other end already. We're walking back to camp. Beautiful evening. It's a hot one on Indian House.
Things ramped up for our fourth day as we navigated the 967-meter portage into North Prairie from our beach camp in Indian House Lake. Rather than taking the 1,900 meters into Prairie and then another 1,000 meters to an unnamed lake, we decided to navigate a small creek out of North Prairie Lake directly towards the unnamed lake. This was much more challenging than anticipated in low water, but eventually we limped out of the route and raced a thunderstorm to make camp.
Tuesday morning. Beautiful, sunny, warm morning. Some clouds building to the west, but sure dawned pretty nice. I could see the sun rising out of our tent at like 6 o'clock. Back on the 975. Did our first carry of the morning. Now we only have one more left thanks to doing a carry last night. Yeah, but we have to go left, so. Oh, yep.
We gotta go get wide here.
Yep. And then all of a sudden you're just like in it.
I was talking about myself.
I was worried about this exact thing. Let's do left, actually. Oh boy. Creek travel. What's that?
I will laugh.
Crazy.
Shit.
We're gonna go to the right here. Yeah. I know. I keep doing that. Well, I'm not eating alder, so I have a very low threshold now for. I don't think we're gonna make that, are we? Hell no. Not even close. Well, we finally met our impasse just before the portage. Little pot lake on our way to Roid Creek. I don't know if we're actually in the creek yet, but holy shit, we were in a creek. Kind of felt like Roid. It induced Roid rage. But this portage is a wonderful little break from a Manky Creek. Well maintained. Probably about half a click. I'm just measuring it now, but not too shabby. Well, the start of the portage is not anything to write home about on this down creek side. Very steep, muddy bank, about 3 feet. And that's where you come from, or go into if you're unlucky enough to choose this route. Oh, Battle scars. I said suck it in, babe.
Wow. I can't.
Well, when you're stuck in the office, remember you could be doing this.
Now.
Yeah, now it's an unintended portage. More than a P, unfortunately. Probably going to contribute to the not recommended rating. Although, you have to ask yourself, what's 3,000 meters of portaging worth? But yeah, there's no way we could paddle the creek between two small pot lakes out of North Prairie. So, we're left doing this and sinking to our waist when we get unlucky. So this is supposed to be the P.
Which is pleasant.
P for pleasant, yes. And that's about the extent of it. 12 seconds, so technically yes, it is just a pullover, but the creek is dried up. So it's 150 meters as I measured it. Portaging beside the creek. Always a wonderful experience. On floating bog, waiting to sink to my waist. $800 to Joey Lake. Pretty good shape. Some maintenance, as you can see. You can film me cutting it.
Yes.
It's already filming.
This has been par for the course. What was?
Bush saw.
Fantastic.
I think when Casey and I did this, it was soaking wet.
Yeah.
So it's kind of nice now that it's a little bit drier. 450 between North Prairie and Joey. Nice, good enough trail, like well enough maintained, but whew, a lot of elevation changes on this one. But other than that, it's great. And it avoids a terrifying swamp off to my right that we first looked at and said, not doing that today. Thankfully, we didn't have to. Looking for a campsite as the weather builds. We've had a long day. What time do we start?
I think it was around 7:30 this morning.
Yeah, 7 or 7:30.
Yeah.
And we must be sneaking up on 3.
Yeah, yes, me.
We are about to be hammer timed. Woo! But we also pulled off a major win. Found a camp. I mean, there is actually a fire ring there, an old one, which we suspected and then didn't suspect, and then we saw this and we're like, nope, this will work. So we will hunker down. There she blows. Woo! Wow. Boy, it's coming down though. Wow. Holy cow. I haven't seen rain like this in a while. A wet, humid morning. Day 5. Holy cow, is it humid. And we have to be very careful with our steps on this very slick lichen covered rock. Yeah. So we're taking our time. We're not sure how far we'll get today. Maybe only one portage and one lake further, but that's okay.
Our 5th day was short and sweet, almost a rest day. We traveled one 438-meter portage into Joey Lake in very humid conditions before setting up camp on one of WCPP's nicest little walleye lakes and nicest unburnt sites.
Lovely Joey Lake. 475 meter. It's actually pretty good. We wish it wasn't so wet, but that's just the way it is. It's a very, lots of elevation change on potentially slick rock. So if you have a choice, dry is better. You can see all the cairns guiding the way here in general. And woodland caribou ribbons are frowned on. They're not even really used to mark portage entrances usually. The one exception is burn areas. You can't get away with blazes and just rock cairns and burn areas. It's impossible. So we ribbon those, but other than that, you try to keep the plastic or whatever ribbons are made out of. It's garish, it's not natural. And woodland is all about nature. So try to just keep it to a couple of stalks piled on each other and the odd tree marking, if possible. About 12 o'clock on Joey Lake. Just paddling for the campsite. On glass, this wind feels great. Portage was very slick. It has a lot of elevation changes. It was a good portage, but not in these conditions. And we made the fateful decision to wear our waterproof bottoms, which we definitely should not have done. It was cooking. Like Hun said, it was like portaging in a sauna. Just started trolling. Oh man, these walleye are huge.
Beautiful night.
One of the better campsites and lakes I've been at in Woodland Caribou. So, good day for a mostly rest day. Beautiful sight on Joey. And this is not an easy lake to get to. I feel like this might be the new haven. Hard to get to. And loaded with nice big walleye. Took me 2 casts to get this one. Yeah, beautiful fish. Gonna have them for some lunch. Hash browns and walleye on Joey Lake. Yummy. Look at that sucker. We are just cleaning house on Joey. This is insane. This is a huge walleye.
Yeah.
I have something big. Wow. He might surface. Look at this. He's pulling the boat.
Wow.
This is... Oh no. Double hook up. See, hon? Lift him up. Very nice. Nice eating size walleye.
Yeah, that's a nice size. Is it yours? Oh, yes.
They're beautiful Joey Lake walleye. I guess this one's 3 to 5 pounds. I try to take them off without handling them at all. So we'll just let them go. Watch your fish.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay. This one's leaving a swirl.
Yep.
These walleye are like lake trout. They are, seriously.
Yeah, they're huge.
That's like
Oh,
5 pound, 7 pound walleye. Like, might, gotta bring him up. Nice. Beautiful night here on Joey Lake. yeah, just a wonderful, wonderful evening. Went out fishing for 2 hours and just hammered walleye. Like I've never caught walleye that size before, and all on spoons too, which is kind of weird. Not weird, but unusual, shall we say. And big, like 4, 5, 6, I think probably got a 7-pound walleye. Just a beautiful, calm evening. Humidity's ramped way down now. So we're looking forward to a good day tomorrow. Today was a good day, kind of a rest day. But yeah, just a beautiful, beautiful lake. And really enjoying it here. Day 5, really into it now. Looking forward to a burnt Roid Creek tomorrow. This is kind of our last unburnt for a little while, till Donald anyway. So not too bad. A couple days, day and a half. But yeah, beautiful day. It's just a nice slab of rock gently rising. Beautiful overlook for the lake. Just a really sweet wilderness camp. This is what Haven looked like before it got overused, to be honest with you, and before it got burnt a couple times or 3 times. Nice little fire spot with an overlook overlooking the lake. I put the kitchen tarp up here. Not that convenient, but it works. Just doing a little bit. Oh, nice. Where? Okay. Yeah, there's wood ticks. This is our tent site. Beautiful, soft, level. Totally looking forward to that because we've had some little bit junky tent sites, to be blunt. And then a path leads back here. Yeah, wood ticks. I've never really had wood ticks in woodland, but I think they are kind of making an appearance here now. I found one on me and Hun just found one. Another beautiful tent site there. And then if you walk a little further, a few trees down, but there's an obvious path here going to yet another unbelievable tent site. So yeah, that's Joey Lake. Beautiful. Very, very excited to be here. I told Hanukkah too, like this was one of those days. This is what you dream about in February when it's winter and it sucks. You dream about fishing a place like this and just staying here for a day or two. Dragonflies are eating mosquitoes above our heads. And there's a lot of mosquitoes. I don't think you can quite see them on the video, but whew. Billions. Not biting for some reason. I'm sure they will soon. Morning on Joey. Nice long day today. Hun is feeling it.
We started day 6 with a 140-meter portage from Joey into an unnamed lake, also loaded with walleye. A short 80-meter portage brought us into Lightning Lake and the start of more recent burn activity on our route. From Lightning, we portaged 135 meters, starting a series of portages and short paddles through 6 unnamed lakes along a very low Roid Creek. We completed a 167 followed by a manky 300 meters through burn and swamp. Another couple of 120-meter portages were followed by 2 more over 220 meters each, and none of them very easy. Needless to say, we were pretty tired by the time we finally paddled up to another fantastic unburned site on Constellation Lake.
150-meter portage out of Joey. Going towards a Roid. Nice little portage. Nothing complicated. Little lake past Joey on the way to Roid. Nice. I think we're heading into the burn now. couple of big walleye on the lake past Joey, which makes sense because it's connected by a stream. Hunt had two of the biggest ones that she's had on yet. And a little beautiful 50, 60 meter portage. Lightning Lake. A couple of portages out of Joey. We're gonna blow down this sucker. Roid Creek, entrance from Lightning Lake. Thankfully not living up to its name today. This is the burnt end, but actually most of the lightning is not burnt, so I feel like new campsites might have to be established on the unburnt parts because they're pretty nice, to be honest. Group of islands. When they pull like a log, you know they're not small. "100-meter portage out of Lightning into Roid Creek. Well maintained through the burn, thankfully, because holy cow, this would be a mess otherwise. And look at this bald eagle feather. Oh, just huge. We saw a bald eagle take off when we were coming up and found a feather. Now this is the second one. You can tell the crew has been through here both after the 2021 fires and before. It's feeling a lot more already maintained than when Casey and I were here in 2019. About a day or two ahead of a trail maintenance crew, so that was a bit of a fail, but yeah. Look at this, just very nicely cut through here. Trust me, 100-meter trail can be a disaster when you're going through stuff like that. Just an absolute mess. So yeah, thank you trail crew. Much appreciated. Woodland Caribou is one place you don't mind paying fees for because, again, you could be walking through that. Welcome to Roid, baby. What do you think so far?
Great.
Hang on, I'll help you. 50-meter into Roid. Beaver's trying to dam it up already. Well, Roid is looking horrible first glance. No flow. I'm hoping this is a temporary situation, but we all know how that goes. But Roid is always a low moment. It's just the way it is. At least the 50-meter portage is okay. Han woke up wondering about the futility of canoe trips after a perfect day, so we followed it up with this. It's the haul line.
The year of the creek.
The year of no creek. Just make sure you push more behind than ahead, but yeah, whatever gets us through. Yeah, nice. This is where I'm happy I have a 16-foot canoe.
Nice early tag there.
And not an 18-foot. That would be a huge. Thoughts? I think I see our portage though. This little moment brought to you by Roid Creek. It smells good too.
Isn't it?
All right. 400-meter along Roid Creek. Wow. Like, are we just walking in the creek or Is it an actual trail? Do not underestimate the upper stretches of Roid Creek. They are a bear. The Portage Trail is more of a swamp dance than anything else. Totally doable, just not totally pleasurable. Well, that does kind of sum up a canoe trip in general, if I think about it. But yeah, that's the trail on the edge of the rock. So that bear summarized how I feel about Roid Creek. Bet you they're glad they're not us. Downstream of the 400-meter portage in Roid Creek. Hoping to hit a little lake here soon. Beautiful day. That's where we just came from, Roid. Nice little pot lake. It feels so good to be out of that creek. On our way to Constellation. Portage along Roid. Pretty nice, actually. Well maintained, clear. Bit of a steep, muddy climb, but again, I'll reiterate, better than going through that. Between the 100 and the 150 to Constellation Lakes on Roid Creek. See, folks, it's all just relaxing, drifting with the wind. That's all it is. Well, this is bullshit. Maintained trail, but there's a lot of downed wood on it. 150 to Constellation. Of course, the one time I decided to carry the boat first. Wow. Short portages are like small mountains. You always underestimate them at your own peril. So this is a 150 en route to Constellation Lake via Roid Creek. And wow, what a bear. Like, you think 150, we're going to be done it in, 20 minutes. Oh, no, no. Nope, not in that terrain. I'm sure it's been maintained because the rest of it has been. But all this deadfall here, all across the trail, all of that. So, then you just got to take out the bucks on, spend half an hour at least clearing it enough to reasonably get through without getting injured. Leaving some stuff for the next crew. Don't want to take all the fun out of trail maintenance for the next group through here. But yeah, never underestimate the short ones. At your peril. Oh, and I carried the canoe first too, of course. The only time I've done that. And it totally shafted me. So, other than that, heat of the day, 2 more portages. I'm not going to say they're short. Coming up to the 125 to Constellation Lakes. Lake. Keep saying lakes, but it's just lake. On Roid Creek. Yeah, that looks like it could be interesting. How's that?
Okay, if we just go straight. Rock right to the left there.
125 meter to Constellation Lake. Not too bad, actually. Pretty good. This tree could potentially be an issue at some point, but it's not so bad. A little bit boggy, but it avoids the burnt forest, so that's good. Well, because the 275 goes right into the lake.
Oh yeah.
So that's where I was like, huh.
No, this can't be right.
Water's too low to run this. I think most years you can just canoe right through here, but little, what do you say, on 25 meter? 30 meter extra portage. But hey. It's never over till it's over. Final portage. I'm going to try cutting this big tree out of the way so that Hun doesn't complain.
I'll take a video. This could take a while.
Okay. Yeah. Oh man. It is hot, but this trail has been pretty good to us. I am so parched. Need to get to camp now. It's been a long day. But beautiful again, dry. And Hanukkah woke up feeling like this was the best decision of her life. So that all added up to, hey, let's do Roid Creek today. No response. Let's do Constellation Lake. You betcha. Holy. Fought to the last big tree. Nice. Going to camp. Another perfectly perched site. This one on Constellation Lake. We're kind of sitting in the wind to keep the bugs off. There's a lot of them, but the wind is blowing nicely right in our faces here. This lake is mostly burnt, but the campsite is wonderful and it is on an unburnt part. Nice site, really reminds me quite a bit of Joey actually. Nice and high above the lake, gets us some breeze. Tent is off in the forest there, so nicely protected. Kitchen area. Nice fire pit. A little more protected here, which we don't want right now because of the bugs. But yeah, great little site and unburnt. Again, there's our tent, nicely in the forest. Unburnt forest. Tucked nicely out of the wind and the elements. Yeah. Yeah, lovely evening on Constellation Lake. Some thunderstorms building. Probably going to hit us at some point here. Not a huge deal. We're hunkered down pretty good. Nice sight on Constellation. Just leaving. I don't know what time it is. Probably 7:30. Headed for Kennedy.
After overnight T-storms, we paddled out of Constellation Lake on June 2nd, headed for Kennedy Lake between Roid and Donald. Unfortunately, this route was not maintained in the past few years, and it immediately showed its teeth. Despite only having 4 short portages from Roid into Kennedy, we were feeling ready for camp early after a rough day on Roid Creek the day before. Thankfully, the site on Kennedy is still unburned and suited our needs just perfectly.
That's a new one. Little 50, 60 meter, 80 meter into Roid Lake from Constellation. The upstream side in Constellation is kind of blocked by a log, but We made it through, no problem. And the rest is excellent. Yeah, you can see that log there blocking it. Bit of a pain, but it works. The lovely Roid Lake, northern end. Little falls coming from, little rapids from Constellation Lake. Portage around. Nice morning on Roid. Lone dead tree.
An old man standing on the hook of his kingdom.
Yeah. Nice camp on an island on the north end of Roid, unburnt. Saw a fire ring on there. It looks fairly flat and open. It can be beautiful in there. As we paddle over Roid Creek again to Kennedy Lake. Roid Creek out of Roid Lake. Little 50-meter portage. Very well maintained. It's the short ones that get you. After last night's rain, some of this is pretty slick. Be careful. Meter portage between Roid and Kennedy. Hasn't been maintained in a few years, and you can tell. People have come through here, I think, but no chainsaw work for a bit. And it kind of needs it. But I carried a canoe through it, so can't be that bad. Yeah. Last portage into Kennedy. Again, probably could use a little bit of maintenance, but it's doable. Low water makes things interesting, like launching the boat. Entering Kennedy Lake on Roid Creek. Huh. Canada geese, eh?
Yeah, there's you. They're probably trying to build their homes.
Kennedy Lake. Unchecking for wood ticks. She's finding a ton. And I'm not, which is making me really nervous. Campsite on Kennedy Lake. Half day rest day after a tough day on Roid Creek yesterday. Afternoon thunderstorms building. You're rumbling in the distance. We'll see what happens. We're all buttoned down now, so we're ready for anything pretty much. It's a nice campsite. Unburned. Yeah. It's a nice day. Can't believe it's only June 2nd. Tents. Here's the kitchen area. There's the hardest worker. It's a tough life, this canoeing business. A very respectable tent site in an otherwise inhospitable forest. Lots of blow down here. Cleaned it up a bit. "5:30 on Kennedy Lake. Ready for a paddle out of Roid Creek to Donald Lake, and from there on to Hammerhead and maybe Restool today. We'll see. It's supposed to be a scorcher, and it feels like it could be. Another beautiful day. Unbelievable that it's only June 3rd.
Once again, we followed a short day by a much bigger one. The portages from Kennedy to Donald Lake were brutal in sweltering heat and humidity. We enjoyed a perfect paddle down Donald Lake before starting back upriver with a well-maintained 350-meter portage into Hammerhead Lake. After negotiating an easy 220 trail up the Rostoul River, we quickly followed with a 90-meter into Restool Lake. We bucked a stiff wind all the way down the lake before finding a great sight on its far south end.
5:53. Just as the sun hits. Ready to bail camp. Here's the fireball, and it feels like it today. Nice. Well, she's still smiling on day 8 in the suck on Roid, so there is that. But it's also a beautiful morning. 40-meter to Donald. Again, this section could definitely use a chainsaw. It's okay, you can make it, but it's a bit of an ankle buster, shin buster waiting to happen. Minimally maintained, shall we say. But thankful for that, of course. I'll take anything in a burn. It's kind of interesting how Roid Creek drops quite a bit between Roid and Donald Lakes. And then we're going to be going up the Restool River, and I know there's some significant gains that way, so kind of interesting. We're dropping to Donald and then going back up. Yeah. We got it. Roid Creek between Kennedy Lake and Donald Lake, going to the 350.
I was kind of counting on it.
Yeah, we were counting on this. Unfortunately, the 350 needs some maintenance. But we've already cut through a few trees. We'll cut through a few more and see what happens. Good times on Roid Creek. Doesn't give up very easy. This is what no maintenance gets you on a trail in a burn. Like, we got to somehow get to that ribbon and get to the creek. What a rough trail this 350 is to Donald. It definitely needs a chainsaw sooner than later. For now, it has me. It's a beautiful morning, but it is not a beautiful portage. What a mess. What an absolute disaster. It's a 350. Nice, babe. I'm gonna do a little bit of axe work. You wanna bring the saw with you? This is just a disaster. Like, how do you get over that? Waist high. Just a total shit show in here. Still on the 350. I think this is the longest 350 I've done in a while.
With that ribbon, you better put it from the outside.
Which ribbon? Oh, absolutely. Right here, babe. Put it on top of. Yep, that's what we're doing right now. This is a good part of the trail. We cleared this part, believe it or not.
Where do we put the ribbon?
Right up there. High as you can reach. Oh, what an exhausting portage, but we are done. 30-degree day like this, it's 8:30 in the morning. It feels like 30 degrees already. You can only maintain minimally. So you're not sawing through that by hand. It's just not happening. I already pretty much got the saw bound in another one like that. And once your saw is bound in something like that, it's not coming out. It's snapping, or you're trying to chop it out with a tiny hatchet. So you have to be smart but strategic about what you clear and what you don't. This was good. I could carry the canoe almost all the way. And Hun did most of the work, as usual.
Did you find your knife?
Yes. In case you thought Roid Creek ever ended, it kind of doesn't. Wow. 50 meter, as usual, on Roid. It's not going to give up easy, but there's ribbons and presumably a lake at the end of this. Last portage on Roid, probably, unless there's a pullout or something yet. We are paddling out of Roid Creek. Woo, into Donald Lake. That was an adventure. I mean, we didn't see anybody yet for 8 days. One advantage of Roid, no one else wants to do it. Woo. This feels good. Out. Yeah. Wow.
There's the lake paddling.
Oh, and this is a big, blue, beautiful Donald Lake.
Oh, yes.
Always one of my favorites. I mean, it's not burnt. It has every type of fish.
What is that at the little peak there? Point.
Starting up the Restool River. Pretty sure all the way to Telescope Lake now for the next probably 5-6 days. Coffee break on Donald. What a day. Wow. What a lake. Love this lake. A maintained trail beside the falls into Donald Lake. We might fish those suckers for a little bit. So not only are we now on the Restool River, therefore mostly maintained trails, but an awesome fisherman from Iowa or Idaho?
Iowa.
What was his name again?
Scott Pink.
Scott Fink. Scott Fink is my new hero because he handed us not just a pair of needle nose pliers, but a Gerber multi-tool. And this is not a cheapo either. This is a nice one. And he handed it to me with no thought of payback or anything. So Scott Fink, you the man. Hopefully the universe gives you the biggest walleye of your life today, Donald Lake. Because I may or may not have put this on video. I probably didn't for obvious reasons, but I dropped my Leatherman tool in the lake after catching a 7-8 pound pike. I had it on my paddle, and of course I went to pick up my paddle and watched that silver tool disappear. And trust me, on a canoe trip you need a multi-tool and you need a needle nose pliers, and normally I bring two. This time I forgot. So there you go. Scott Fink's the man. Made me very happy. Taking hooks out, fixing stuff, screwdrivers, nail clippers, all that stuff. Very handy when you're out here for 2 weeks. So yeah, our morning just got a whole lot better after exiting Roid Creek. And this is why lodges are nice, because they cut nice trails for their clients between lakes. And this is one of those. This would be a disaster. This is what we had to go through on the last portage, and it becomes a mess real quick in 30-degree heat. So thank you, Donald Lake. Should also point out that we're now onto a 2 carry instead of 3. Our gear has gotten light enough that I can carry a big pack with the canoe and we can make it work. So instead of walking the trail 5 times, we walk it 3, which may not sound like much, but on a, let's just say 400 meter portage, instead of walking a total of 2K, you're walking only 1,200 meters. Big difference on a 30-degree day. So happy about that too. 8th day is a good day. People may wonder about why I'm solo carrying when we have 2 people and could tandem. But with a 39-pound boat, honestly, it's safer to solo because you know where you're putting your feet. I can't tell you how many times tandem carrying you end up pushing or pulling the other guys, especially if you're on rocks and stuff. So solo carrying a 39-pound boat isn't bad. Having the pack on like I do now makes it harder, of course, because that's another 30 pounds in the back, but it's doable. With the back brace on, it's doable anyway. Perfect. Yeah, reel it in a bit. So usually, the way walleye bite, you can just pick it up like that. Lots of fish in here. Hammerhead Lake, not Restool. See, there is some campsites on this end that are probably unburnt, but paddling lakes with their own set of challenges. Wind, not too bad though. I think I've been saying it wrong. I think the river that goes out of Hammerhead into Donald is actually the Gammon River, and this is the end of the Restool River, coming in between Rostoul and Hammerhead. So the waterfall we're coming up on is, I believe, the terminus of the Restoul, but I'll check that when I get home. Portage around the falls at the end of Restool River. Straight uphill, I think the rope is to help guests. Short but very steep portage at the end of Restool River into Hammerhead Lake. Again, all lodge maintained and traveled, so excellent condition. There's Hammerhead Lake. This burnt, I believe, in 2021. Restool River between Restool Lake and Hammerhead Lake. Very nice portage. 90 meter. Yeah, just an absolute pleasure, this one. Very nice falls, too. Rapids. We're going to try to catch a couple of walleye for lunch. Try to get to camp before the building thunderstorms kick off. It's probably 30 degrees and humid. But yeah, Hans liking the Restool River quite a bit more than Roid Creek. I don't blame her. Okay, let's watch Hun haul in a pickler. Did you already got one? Holy moly. I know. Double hookup. They're gonna get tangled. A nice size too. Look at that. Nice size walleye. Right out of the bottom of the falls here. On Restool River out of Restool Lake. Every cast. Fishing's fun like this, eh?
Fishing's fun like this.
Cast twice and come up with lunch. Now we're gonna try to canoe to our spot on Restool Lake and eat these bad boys. Restool Lake. I noticed. Well, you see in the far distance it's green again.
Yeah, I agree.
Right?
Yeah, let's do it, right?
And I remember there's an island site there. Switch. Oh, this could possibly be camp. It almost has to be. Unbelievably still night on the south end of Restool Lake. After paddling in a very stiff south wind, of course, an hour later, it all died down to this. Well, 3 hours later now, but some passing T-storms, but nothing hit us yet anyways. Just a gorgeous sight. Unbelievable. The rest of the lake's burnt, so don't expect this if you're coming to Restool, because this is just the south end. I stayed at this site in 2016 with Nico. I kind of knew it wasn't burnt, so. Long day today from Kennedy Lake. Beautiful morning on Rostoul Lake. 6:30 in the morning. This is a very, very nice camp. It's a very, very nice morning.
We paddled out of Rostoul Lake on glass on June 4th before waiting out T-storms at the Hansen Lake Portage. From there we paddled past the pictographs and started the portages towards Rist. The 466 and 311 were in fantastic shape. The 97 meter was burnt and tough to find and follow, and the final 600 meter portage into Rist was very difficult through the burn in the heat of the day. We gladly set up camp early on an island.
Paddling on glass out of Restool. A little different than yesterday, babe. Like, wow. I actually feel like you're moving. Walleye on Restool on a spoon. Restool Falls. Very pretty. Walleye on Restool, the falls. Very humid, warm morning. Perfect for fishing. $2.75 beside Restool Falls. I think it's Sunday morning, 9ish, 8:39. Thunderstorms kind of rumbling, so we're going to throw up a tarp and see what happens. Nice portages though. Yeah, very well maintained. Just waiting to see what the storms do on Hansen Lake, which has given me pretty severe storms in the past. Just a very humid morning. Thunderstorm sliding by us to the east, so could catch the edge of it. We'll see. All hunkered down for a storm that's likely going to slide past. But may as well be safe. Hansen Lake. Beautifully calm again after some sea storms. Very nice. You can see the storm just vanishing on the right there. Heading towards the distant burn on Hansen.
What year was that bird?
2021. Edge of the burn on Hansen. Always seems to stop on the other types of trees.
Makes sense on it.
Into the narrow arm at the end of Hansen, or the side of Hansen, towards the pictograph site, and the start of the route to Rist Lake. You see that smooth outcrop, that white one? Yeah. This is where the water shimmers and dances. Always. First portage from Hansen to Rist. Excellent. Just a beautiful 400-meter portage between Rist and Hansen. Just a nice forest walk. Very well maintained, traveled. Nice lake at the end. Yeah. Let's hope it's an omen for the next 3. Just what you need on a hot day is a portage like this. Wow. Back in the day, I remember Henty and I paddling through here the other way and saying we'd like to build a cabin here. Probably would have been torched. It's true. End of the 90, all uphill when you're traveling from Hansen to Rist. Well, as soon as you get in the burn, everything changes. It's no longer a cool forest walk. It's a more stable footing, but it's cleared. So thank you, crew, for doing that, because we know what it's like when it isn't. Really have to watch your step in here, though. Lots of burnt logs and stumps are exposed, soil's washed out. Makes a big difference. It's a hot one today. Looks a little different than when I was here, I think 2009, maybe 2011. Wow. Utter devastation on the 600 meter between from Hansen to Rist. Thankfully ribboned. Ribbons are falling down though, and there's really not a trail, so it's more of a route finding exercise. Hot in the burn, and it is a burn. Lots of elevation change, man. Rist is much higher than Hansen. I can assure you of that. Some carries are a little easier and more pleasant than others. Through a burn, 28 degrees with 100% humidity. Not as fun, but we'll get there. Well, it's well marked with ribbons, but there's really no trail through the 600 meter burn section. I think they could cut a little more of a trail in there, but can't complain too loudly. Roid Creek was a lot worse. And now on to camp on Rist. Hot, hot afternoon. Hot. Rist Lake Camp. Waiting for the T-storms to hit. It feels good with a little bit of breeze. Sun behind a cloud. It's a scorcher today. Beauty of a day again though. Beauty of a day. Now we're really glad we have the car. Wow. Nice island site on Rist Lake. I've stayed here many times. This is probably number 4 or 5 times I've stayed on this one. It's getting a little used, but it's still a great site. Caught a nice big pike off the shore here. Normally, ooh, that's interesting. Look at that. Normally, oh, interesting. Huh. So, normally you can't camp in the trees here. For me, anyway, because it's like a swamp in there. But it's so dry right now that for the second time only, our first time we could camp in there, we just assumed it was normal. Because I gotta be honest, unless there's sites I don't know about, that's a great site, obviously. Well protected on moss, perfectly level, but otherwise you got to camp up here. Very exposed, especially tonight with storms all over the place. So I wasn't totally keen on it, and then that spot was dry again. So, and then there's the kitchen area. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool site. I like it. Good memories, good times. Wrist Lake, Monday morning. Beautiful morning. Not much else to say, really. Just another beautiful morning.
On our 10th day in the park, we exited Wrist Lake in light winds, portaging 130 meters through Burn into Streak Lake. From Streak, we took a pretty manky 200-meter portage into Amber Lake before struggling mightily over 600 meters into Nutria. Our struggles continued through a shallow creek before finally exiting in Mexican Hat Lake. We paddled against a stiff wind to the walleye factory site on its east end.
Paddling for Mexican Hat. Scaring off the ducks. See you later, site. Been on you many times. Portage out of Wrist. Through the Burn from Wrist. Portage out of Wrist, 100 meter. Man, this place got torched. Like, this fire didn't just race through and, burn the needles off. That happens in a lot of places. This one said, nope, I'm taking everything. There's not even deadfall left. Which can make navigation tricky. I mean, there is cairns, so that's fine. And as a mountain guy, very logical to me to follow, but yeah, if you're expecting flagging and a pathway cut through every burn here, you're in for a bit of a shockaroonies. There's a cairn up there on the right. So yeah, you just have to use your noggin and you'll get there. There's Wrist. Day 10. In the burn between, I think it's Amber and Wrist. Coming out of Wrist. And yes, it's another boring, perfect morning. Not that we're complaining. Thunderstorms last night. The biggest one slid past us, which was awesome because it looked very intense. Lightning coming straight down every 10 minutes, sometimes multiple bolts, so we don't need that. And then we wake up to this on Wrist. Not a bad way to wake up in the morning. And then we go through this, but it's not so bad. Streak Lake or Amber. .70-meter between Streak and Amber. Needs some work. I mean, it's only 70 meters. I actually went right around the trail and then we kind of found it on the way back, but the trail is worse than doing 100 meters around it, so that's probably what I'll do. But yeah, needs some work. Amber Lake. Completely fried. But a beautiful morning and still a beautiful place. Exit of Amber to Nutria. 5:25 between Streak and Amber and Nutria. Definitely needs some tender loving care from a trail maintenance crew. Got ourselves a bit lost on approach, but I think we found the trail now. The trail is fairly obvious, but it's very overgrown. And there's trees falling and it ain't perfect, but It's doable, but could use a weed whacker at some point. It's where my mountain bushwhacking sense pays off. My mantra, become one with the bush. Don't fight it. Slow down, half a pace, and just move where it makes sense. There, we're on trail right now, believe it or not. So trail maintenance makes a bit of a difference, just cutting beside so you can see where your feet are, because right now I can feel the trail. I can't actually see it. There's Trio Lake after the 525. Survived it. Wasn't pretty, but we made it. Reasonably shallow. We'll see what season it is. Shallow or not shallow. Hun thinks it's shallow. Yeah. Seasonably shallow, all right. That's an understatement. Well, we'll get to it. I'm so tired, I just did a whole video and forgot to hit record. Okay, boat, we're not in it. Bog, hole. That's it. Seasonably shallow, they said. Yeah, well. Creek between Nutria and Mexican Hat. We're actually in the boat, which is kind of a miracle right now. Yeah, let's go to OB2. Woo! Mexican Hat. Holy moly.
Life jacket?
Mexican Hat. Oh. Oh, yeah, biggest one yet, she says. Nobody else got to see it. Whoa, wow. That is not a small one. Keep it in the water. I'll come down and get it. Thanks, babe. Wow, nice. That's even better. Oh, the other one was bigger. Wow, very nice. No, that's perfect. They hang out by the cliff there. Going? Nice. There you go. Fish on. Try again. Yep, there we go. Oh, had him. This is the very next cast after the last one. There we go. Very next cast. That's a nice eating size. Third cast after the last one. Let's see if we can do it again. 3 in a row. Well, it's probably more like 6 or 7 in a row. Yep. Oh, had him. There we go. Sorry about that. You may not have been able to see that. A little smaller than the last one. Number 4 in a row. Yep, there we go. They're getting smaller. Yeah. Well, this is number 6 in a row since I've been recording. Feels a little bigger. Fighting a little more. Oh yeah, that's definitely bigger. There you go. So this is about number, I think, 12 or 13 in a row. 9 since I started recording. Thought I'd show you another walleye. There's a reason we call this falls the walleye factory. Because those falls there produce that there. And many, many of them. Not huge, but many. The bigger ones tend to come in later at night and be a little bit more offshore, rather than right in the falls over there, more over there.
Good bit. Just doing a little bit of vid.
On the vid.
How's it?
Worst ways to spend a Monday evening. That's for sure. Great campsites on Mexican Hat. This is a very nice one. Home for the night. Tuesday morning, day 11. Paddling out of Mexican Hat to Glen.
Day 11 was a relatively short day. We paddled out of Mexican Hat Lake before tackling 2 portages into Beck's Lake. From Beck's, we portaged a short 100 meters into Glen, catching walleye as we went. After drifting north on Glen Lake, we paddled stiff winds east and then south to the campsite on its far east end.
Catching fish on Mexican Hat. So far it's been walleye on the spoon, which is kind of crazy as we get to the top of the hat. Oh, I think I might have lost that guy. Oh, he's still on. Little portage between Mexican Hat and Glen Lake. I think we made it slightly shorter thanks to low water. Certainly didn't feel like 90. Short section between portages between Mexican Hat and Glen Lake. 9 o'clock in the morning. Beautiful day. Another little falls section between Mexican Hat and Glen. On a beautifully maintained trail through the burn. We owe someone for this. This is a really nice portage.
Yeah, this is top notch.
It really is. And trust me, based on our Roid Creek experiences, this could be pretty bad.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Been like that. Everyone's beside you.
Yep. Wait. Gotta be careful walking in a burn. Everything's exposed because the soil gets washed out. Lots of tripping hazards and ankle sprainers. Catching some walleye on the falls that between Mexican Hat and Glen. There's always a little bigger than here. Every cast situation, like Hun says. Rapids into Glen Lake. Portage on the right. Very nice. Very shallow rapids into Glen Lake. Water level's definitely not high, but a nice set of rapids. That's 90% of the trip right there, just relaxing. Floating down a lake with an eagle soaring overhead, birds chirping, fishing lines singing in the wind. There's worse ways to spend a Tuesday morning. Walleye fishing on Glen for lunch. Ooh, nice. Yeah, that'll complete lunch, all right. Nice, babe.
Mm-hmm.
Glen Lake, whatever day it is, Wednesday, I think. Paddling against a south wind that didn't let up all night. Thunderstorms overnight and rain, lots of rain. Nice day for paddling though.
June 7th, we once again paddled against strong winds as we exited Glen Lake and continued up the Restool River. The two 200-meter portages into Optic Lake were well maintained. We crossed Optic Lake without issue and navigated 3 more short portages into the huge Telescope Lake. Yet again, we paddled against challenging winds until finally giving up and bailing on a large island site for our last night in Woodland Caribou.
Walleye on the falls into Glen Lake from Optic. Nice, babe. It's a good size. Nice. He's been picked on by other fish. After a night of lots of rain and T-storms on the east end of Glen Lake, we're now portaging the 250 out of Glen towards Optic. Very strong south east winds overnight and all day yesterday after we got to camp. Now it's a little bit soggy. Well, we got at least an inch. It rained most of the night. So, but nice, beautiful morning. Well maintained, 250 meter between Optic and Glen through the burn this time, but very well maintained and traveled. Sign of a nicely maintained trail. Corduroy. Restool River, running between Optic and Glen Lake. Optic Lake. Burnt in 2021, and maybe other years, but for sure then. One of my favorite campsites, I think, got torched. Paddling the Narrows on Optic, about halfway down. Falls between Telescope and Optic on the Restool River. Restool River falls into Optic Lake, which is visible in the far distance. Another well-maintained trail through the burn. Telescope Lake. Snug as a bug in a rug on Telescope Lake. One of the more used sites in Woodland, but it'll work just fine for us. We were trying to paddle the whole length of the lake, but we got into 2-foot rolling waves and just thought, why are we risking it? So we're just gonna have a yard sale here for the day. Try to dry out some gear after a heavy night of heavy rain. Lovely on this side of the lake. On this side of the island, there's no wind at all.
We're right here. Jesus Christ.
Six o'clock in the morning, Thursday. Beautiful, calm Telescope Lake. And we are going to paddle out of it before it gets wavy again.
Our last day in WCPP was bittersweet, as always. We left Telescope Lake early, paddling calm waters to its far east end. After traveling through the Hjalmar lakes, past pictographs, and over 4 more well-maintained portages, we finally arrived in Onnie Lake. Here we decided to exit rather than stay one more night. We paddled down Douglas Creek before exiting towards Stan Lake. The final 2 portages were familiar as we made our way to the end of our trip, 200 kilometers after starting out 2 weeks earlier.
Finally nearing the east end of Telescope Lake. It's a big lake. Lovely 200-meter portage out of Telescope towards Hjalmar Lakes. Feels kind of jungly. Always a bittersweet moment as the trip starts to come to an end. But it was a very, very good trip, so can't complain about that. And with a broken back, it's kind of surprising. Did it at all, so. Yeah, I think that is it, yeah. Pictographs on Hjalmar Lakes. On a rock face where you'd expect to find them. Pretty faint. Onnie Lake. Breakfast on Onnie. Tucked in against the little island that Nico and I stayed at in 2016. Beautiful paddling day, to be honest. Douglas Creek. Yeah, just like we thought. Douglas Creek gets bony. Kind of fits our theme of low water. Douglas Creek, a little 30-meter around a set of rapids. Perfect way to end a perfect trip. Sun, birds, clouds, blue sky, creek. Well, that's it, folks. 2 weeks in Woodland Caribou. We're just walking back to get the boat on the 525, actually 600, between Stan and Johnson Lake. Short paddle on Johnson Lake, and we're home. It's always a little bit of a bittersweet moment. You know, you dream about these moments for months, and then they come and they go, just like every other moment in life. But fantastic trip. It's awesome to share Woodland with Hanukkah, who hates looking at the camera.
I need to wash my feet.
Needs to wash her feet. She's very sick of mud.
No, I need to watch where I'm walking.
Oh, watch your feet.
Yes.
Also wash, though.
Also wash.
Wash everything, though, not just feet.
Nasty.
Oh, yeah. It's always a good moment, too, to come out of the bush and, yeah, back to regular life. But it was a great trip and lots of good memories, and sure we'll digest over the next 3 days as we work our way back home. Oh no, Johnson Lake. Last one before the portage to the parking lot. Woodland Caribou 2023 comes to an end. Thanks for joining, babe. It was a pleasure. 100% pleasure. All the time.
All the time.
80% of the time. 90.
You say 90.
90%. That's pretty darn good after how many years of marriage?
26 coming up.
26 years of marriage. Whoa. An inglorious end. Woodland Caribou 2023. Way to go, babe. Awesome. Survived.